各位观众，大家好，欢迎收看邓鸿说法节目，我是美国南美律师邓鸿，让执法说法据理力争。今天是星期四，当然在昨天是这个国防部发言人宣布，海军部的部长费伦已经辞职了。当然这个今天将代理副部长那个扶正，然后由曹洪这位越南出生4岁这位难民逃离越南，然后现在正式出任美国海军部的部长。当然这部分里边这个各方的报道都在评论这位当时川普提名John Fallon 担任海军部的部长的时候，已经有很多的争议性，因为他没有当过兵，从哈佛大学毕业之后，他一直是从商，后来他是在这个基金里边，在股票市场这个赚了大钱，然后后来成为一个文物的收藏家。不过在川普的3次选举之中，他出钱出力所以也是川普一位可以说是很大的一个金主当然他喜欢当兵所以后来虽然自己没有当过兵，不过呢这也是一位空降下来的海军部部长。当然这个事情根据各方的报道，就是他因为他自己跟川普的关系非常密切有川普的手机，所以很多时候他曾经有多次这个基本上不听从这个国防部部长，现在是战争部的部长Pete Hegseth的指挥尤其是最导致在去年年底的时候就出现很大的矛盾因为有几位这个军人，然后他们在发视频，他说要抵抗军命，因为这些命令是违法的，所以针对这个部分，他责令海军部的部长进行调查，但是海军部的部长并没有采取任何的行动。更令 Pete Hegseth 生气，就是因为川普政府要大力推动美国的军舰要在美国生产。现在美国的造船业全部99%都没有在美国制造，所以川普要其中一个重要的计划，军工企业的生产应该是留在美国本土。所以Pete Hegseth已经说，我们现在要向国会递交预算，要增加海军46%的预算，其中的话，这些新增加的预算是要在美国建造军舰、军艦。然后但是没想到这个 Fallon 他毕竟是乡人出身，他权衡了之后，他说这个军艦在美国生产成本太贵了，这种情况之下，这个Pete Hegseth战争部的部长还是坚持要在美国生产。没想到John Fallon 背后向川普投诉，说 Pete Hegseth 的话还是要坚持在美国生产，成本太高了。针对这个部分，当然第一他违背了川普总统的一个原则，就是军工企业这些重要的牵涉到美国这个军工企业的生产一定要在美国进行。另外一方面，以后你要听从指挥，因为毕竟战争部的部长是你海军部的部长的上司，所有事情不能够在背后打报告。所以针对这个部分这个 Pete Hegseth 再度让川普做的决定。所以的话，这个 John Fallon 在 Pete Hegseth 这两者选择之中的话，那川普当然是选择战争部的部长了。当然战争部的部长他现在这个海军部的部长退下来了当然现在是由第2把手的海军部的副部长这个曹洪来担任。当然曹洪很多人都知道，他曾经是这个他4岁在美国在越南出生长大，4岁的时候作为难民以后逃离美国。他父亲当时也是曾经在美国的 Cornell 大学念的农业的这个博士学位，后来担任过越南政府这个农业部长的助手后来逃离越南之后，他也是成为 到美国的难民他也是在美国农业部援外机构里边的话，到了海外生活，到了13岁才回到美国。当然回来美国念高中完了之后，他考进了海军军校，在军校毕业之后，他从士兵开始做到了这 captain 这个舰长那么高的职位。后来他开始从政，然后他自己也是在2024年参选这个维吉尼亚州的参议员。当时川普也是为他的这个广告的话感动了。我们听听当时他在参选维吉尼亚州美国联邦参议员的时候，这个广告这个是非常深刻。
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners, our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go. I'm Hung Kao, retired Navy captain running for United States Senate. I still believe America can be the land of opportunity. I have an obligation to fight back against those who want to control our lives and disrupt our families. We need real fighters, not politicians, not bureaucrats, not keyboard warriors acting tough in a custom-made suit. No, not here in America. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must be fearless. I'm Hung Kao. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message because I'm not done fighting for us.
那他在2024年为我们美国敲响了警钟，当然这次鼓声也是警钟，所以也是因为这个广告让川普endorse 他。后来他虽然没有当选参议员，川普提名他担任海军部的副部长，而今天的话，这个他正式接替 Fallon 出任了一个美国海军部指挥整个海军的这个总司令了。当然这也是一个很重要的一个故事。美国是一个多元国家，来自世界各地的移民在美国都找到了他们的机会。因为难民他自己说，美国就是我的国家，我正在尽我最大的努力来回报这个美国，这就是美国的精神。所以为什么乔洪朝能够担任海军的总司令，也是海军部的部长，这也是这呈现出来我们美国是一个只要你努力还是可以成功的一个还是有出人头地的机会的。那当然今天的话，这个在Caroline Leavitt 白宫发言人也推发了这个文章， 他说是这篇文章的话是发表在这个美国美国商会的一篇文章，它里边谈到的话这个川普政府是怎么样子来填补移民出现了严重漏洞的这篇文章里边我跟大家解读一下子，他回顾了过去1年川普政策里边怎么填补移民漏洞的一些强势内容当然这部分的内容我们可以看得出，首先是从庇护制度开始，现在的话全美国已经有这个300多万人正在等候庇护，这里边的话在川普上台的时候他说这个他要改变清除这个庇护制度所出现的问题当然这个部分因为在过去1年你可以看得出来庇护的申请跌到基本上没有申请 99.9%以后的话这个从2024年12月到2025年2月份里边的话这个那时候在美墨边境入境的人士以后每个月大概是这个接近4万人但是到了川普上台了之后这个只有26个人，以后这个难民入境的话已经减少了90%，以后并且这个有在第1年已经有220万的这个申请难民的身份的人士已经主动离开美国了当然这个部分里边他还有他说他在这部分做了2大的改变，在拜登时代每一位非法进来美国的只要到移民局报到就给你一个手机，上面有一个叫做这个 CBP One 这个 APP 里边的话你在那边等候，等你轮到了之后我们派飞机来接你到进美国来，当然现在的话这个 App 还存在， CBP App 的话改成一个的话你主动离开美国我给你奖2000到3000块钱这个应用程序，并且川普政府已经开始重新整理移民法官的席位这个解聘了100多名就是这个自由派的这些不看事实只是会发绿卡的人士，所以的话重新换了143名这个新的法官并且大部分的法官都是检察官或者是军事律师背景出身的同时的话在这个过程之中，以前庇护通不通过不重要，只要一申请就马上拿公卡，以前移民局这个在递交庇护申请等公卡的时间往往的话是半年的时间就发出来，但是川普总统上台了之后这个发公卡的时间延长到1年，所以很多递交的庇护但是的话拿不到公卡，另外一方面的话对所有的这些这个没有身份的人士进行强硬的拘押，所以以前这个在你可以看得出为什么 IC 的行动的话尽管你是庇护申请的，他马上还是逮捕，以后马上进行审理庇护的申请另外的话这个在签证方面，就算合法移民现在的话就是合法的移民签证从2026年1月份开始然后可以比2024年的话已经减少了合法签证，从观光签证到学生签证到这个 L1 签证已经减少了43%这个其中有40多个国家公民这个40多个国家的他们的移民签证全部停发这也是全球1/5的这些申请申请执照的话马上停了，然后到并且在2026年1月21号这个禁令扩展到92个国家，所以没有经过背景调查还有这些的话他们就算合法要拿到签证都非常困难了另外一方面的话在移民申请案件这个以前开案件的话在2024年之前开案件的话比这个结案多了108万宗现在质押的移民申请案的话达400万，但是在2015年开始已经处理了这个58万的案件，新增的话是44万所以的话首度开始这个申请案件减少 当然可以看得出，从目前看起来，这也是美国进入美国跟离开美国的人数，这种叫负移民这个净移民已经转负了，已经在过去50年来一直都是新移民进来比较多，但是从今年开始离开美国的移民人数比进来美国人数还多所以这个部分可以看得出，他现在川普他现在川普他最重要是要改变，让外界知道他们现在已经废除了拜登时代的移民政策，因为拜登时代的话，他这个容忍大规模的非法移民作为难民身份涌进美国，并且的话暗示我们一定要进行移民改革，也就是暗示我们美国可能会出现大规模的大特色。这个部分里边虽然有民主党、共和党人士一起推动尊严法案这个川普的政策是完全不考虑，所以这个部分不可能会出现这个特色的。所以这个部分的话，最重要的话它里边这篇文章讲美国这个是属于美国人民的，所以这个部分的话这个将来要完全这个解决非法移民的话，现在正在这个采取一些强硬的措施毕竟这个 Facebook Meta 今天也宣布他们会裁员10%，所以高科技 AI 技术已经取代很多工作，在3年之内大概有60%的白领工作可能会被 AI 所取代。针对这个部分里边移民的案件这个移民只会越来越收紧，这个漏洞也会越来越收紧的。它里边的话也再次谈到了，在过去2025年开始这个抽签移民已经是完全暂停了。从2025年底开始以前每一年10月份的话，这个有2万名人士的话可以碰运气以后放进名字去抽签了但是这个部分是完全停止了这个也可以看得出川普将来的政策会越来越严格。除了在合法移民这个申请减少之外的话，另外一个今天司法部也宣布将会向384名已经获取到美国公民的人士在全美国进行吊销取消他们归化的这个身份当然这个部分在这个上个月2名中国学者然后他成为美国公民了，但是牵涉的话在做访问学者的时候偷窃了这个科技界的这个机密商业机密，然后出售给中国的医疗机构，拿到150万。虽然他们已经成为美国公民，但是这2名华裔学者也是被吊销了他们的公民资格。而今天司法部提出来了，以后将会有384名已经成为美国公民的人士，他们会开始采取这个吊销他们入籍的身份。这司法部已经确定现在有384名外国出生的美国人他们司法部透过民事的程序已经启动程序，要求取消他们的公民身份，以后并且将384个案件分配给39个检察官办公室进行它里边说这个非法获取到的公民身份本身就是一种欺诈行为，而欺诈行为而获取到的身份以后司法部有权利要吊销。所以针对这个部分你可以看得出，因为传统以来就是一个法律上面规定的话，就是这个如果是用欺诈手段获取的公民身份，好像假结婚或者是圆满的不符合资格的过去记录以后并且这个部分相对来说这个举证责任在检察官这部分，在以往我们可以看得出这个在吊销这部分的话是非常这个少见的。在1990年到2017年以后这个加起来这个只处理了305宗，到2017年到2025年这个段时间里边的话这个它一共的话加起来是120件，但是现在这个川普一声令下以后他现在的话是争取在今年之内取消200名 已经获取到美国公民身份的这些外国人士当然这部分里边他现在查出来的话就是有根据2017年国土安全部的报告在移民他们进行指纹比对之后发现，现在的话有800多名是曾经用不同的名字已经被驱逐的人士用不同的名字获取到了美国身份，所以针对这部分里边的话，他们已经开始大规模的这个行动，就算你成为美国公民，有可能会面临政府的调查或者吊销他的公民资格。当然今天有另外一篇文章，就是这个司法部已经加快这个大麻这个降级的这个程序了。其实在去年年底的时候，川普政府已经签署了总统行政命令，将现在在属于第一类毒品这个大麻是属于第一类毒品降为第3类毒品。第一类毒品的话，它这个包括海洛因这一类的话是没有任何医疗价值，但是会上瘾的。第3类的话是有一定的药效但会上瘾，所以的话这个第一类碰了第一类，如果是没有医生的处方的话，这种会上瘾的话，往往这个会面临至少5年的劳刑。现在很多州有25个州大麻已经合法化了，所以的话在这种情况推动的时候川普在去年年底已经说，我们不能够将大麻合法化，还是毒品。你作为移民，如果你不是美国公民使用、持有大麻和运送大麻、种植大麻都是属于毒品罪。不过的说，在惩罚方面的话，属于第3类这个不会像强硬的话至少5年的劳刑这个事情也是因为在上个礼拜这个川普在白宫这个让这个迷幻药这个从第1类降为第3类。当时这个 Jim Rogan 也是在这个名嘴在就问川普，他说你怎么现在大麻还是第1类川普他不得不承认，他说我在12月底的时候已经签署了，为什么我们手下到现在还没有完成？所以的话今天的话这个司法部特别要宣布已经开始加速让大麻降级的这个行动了。这个部分会让很多民主党人士、共和党人士也可能会导致川普的发飙，因为在今天这个根据John Kennedy 他说，川普要提出拯救美国法案，要求申请这个选民要登记成为选民的时候要证实公民资格，要去投票的时候要拿出身份查身份，并且我们要这个不允许通讯投票，除非你有病还是驻军在海外没办法亲自回来。所以同时他再加多2项，以后禁止女生这个男生在女生里边进行比赛，还有的话禁止没有经过父母同意就擅自在小孩子身上做变性手术这种行为。所以这5个就是要拯救美国法案的，但是要通过立法的程度通过这个案子至少要有60名国会美国参议员的通过。所以当时 John Kennedy这个来自于 Louisiana 的非常幽默的这位参议员说拿不到60票很难通过，不过有另外一个方法的话，就是将这个部分变成一个预算案，因为每一年有一个综合预算案的话是只需要51票就可以通过的，然后将里边的话我们有足够的聪明人士可以将这些拯救美国的法案的话分体以后的话放在预算案里边就可以过关的当然律师写好了，没想到的话共和党这4名人士他确认反对。这4名人士的话包括这个北卡州的这个 Tom Tillis 他面临他已经宣布退休，他不在乎了。然后这个来自 Alaska 的 Lisa McCoskey， 因为他的选区是属于紫色的，然后所以这部分可以理解。然后同样的来自缅恩州的 Susan Collins，他的州里边的话现在是属于蓝州，所以这2个是可以理解的，因为他们这个面临这个他们的选民是这个比较左的。不过更令人跌破眼镜的话就是 Mitch Mitch McConnell 的话，他完全知道他已经是在参议院里边是一个老手，但是没想到的话，他居然投票反对，将拯救美国法案纳入这个预算案里边去。所以针对这个部分 ，Fox News 里边他说，这个没想到的话这些党内的这4名共和党人士却不支持川普的行动。那当然我们今天还有一点时间，我想1个多小时、1个半小时，我们大家一起收看这个加州的这场总统州长的这个辩论会。这里边的话呢，我们可以看得出这一场也是在 Eric Swalwell 退选之后以后出现了第一次这个辩论这个下个礼拜选票就要寄出来了，在这种情形之下，他们的政见是怎么样子呢？我们要不要支持呢？我们要不要认同的话，这部分包括了6位候选人Tom Steyer 这也是以前是对冲基金会的经理，是民主党民调他现在领先的Busella Busella 的话是以前的加州总检察长也是担任过加州的这个也是担任个卫生部的部长同时的话 Katie Porter 是民主党曾经代表过尔湾地区的国会议员Matt Mayhem 是属于民主党人士他现在是属于 San Jose 的市长这4名人士都是民主党人士，而你可以看得出这个 Katie Porter 跟 Tom Steyer 这2名人士的话他基本上可以看得出是要将民主党继续往左，而 Busella 他现在是维持现状Matt Mayhem 这位这个 San Jose 的市长在民主党里边的话，他希望将民主党这个带回温和派，所以你可以看得出这4名人士从他们针对游民问题、移民问题这方面的话，可以看得出来他们的立场。当然 Steve Hilton 是属于这个共和党现在民调领先，在所有候选人里边他是民调最高的。然后 Chad Bianca Riverside 的这个警察局局长，他现在也是共和党的候选人在里边的话，你可以看得出很多重要的议题所有人都谈到 Tom Steyer 的财富，他说他是这个从移民私人监狱里边的话赚到的钱，从对冲基金里边赚到的钱，他现在的话反而要征收富人税啦，还有做这些东西了，他喜欢自己捐赠想办法用钱买这个选举了，大家都攻击他。当然每个人都说自己是中产阶级，都是这个另外一个的话，给 Newsom 打分的时候，共和党轻轻松松全都 FF， 当然是 F 的彻底的败类。但是的话 Busella 他要想办法得到这个Newsom 州长现任者的支持，所以他给了 Busella 给了州长在游民问题的话给了 A， 然后 Tom Steyer 的话他做的不够给了 B 然后 Porter 的话也是给了 B， Mayhem 的话他要想办法从 Newsom 的执着政策的话再转向，他说是给的 D， 没有做得好，所以这部分你可以看得出这个在2位共和党基本上一直在谈到川普的背书以后还有这部分的话2个共和党的议题差不多 OK 但是在同样的在住屋成本怎么解决游民问题，在税务问题，还有这个生活成本问题，还有公共安全跟移民问题的话每个人都有不同样的意见。既然我们大部分的观众朋友都是住在加州的这也是这场选举6月2号就要开始投票了，我想的话这是我想也是借用 KTLA 这个网站里边昨天的转播配用中文，我们一起来收看这场加州州长的辩论会这样子的话我们可以更明白为什么我们要支持这个 Steve Hilton。
We'll get 60 seconds to answer a question. If there's a follow-up or rebuttal necessary, the candidate will get 30 seconds and 15 seconds for clarifications if needed.
We will be reminding the candidates of those times throughout the night. The sound of a bell will ring when their time is up. The candidates will answer the questions with the first order determined at random, and their position on stage was determined by polling.
Our first topic tonight is the cost of living in California, and that includes the high cost of gas. We pay one of the highest gas taxes in the country, about 61 cents per gallon. That money goes to pay for road repairs and public transportation.
Mr. Steyer, the first question of the night goes to you. Should we cut the gas tax? You have 60 seconds.
Let me say that the reason that gasoline is so expensive, that our president, Donald Trump, has started an insane war in Iran and driven up the cost of gasoline for everybody in California. That has put $70 billion into the pockets of the oil companies who actually put him in the presidency. Californians are suffering across the board. The biggest problem in California is that the Californians can't afford to live here anymore. The answer on this is not to give up the gas tax, but actually to have a windfall profit tax on the oil companies who have been ripping us off for decades. That's on the books. We can activate it right away. We can get the money, and we should send it directly back to California citizens. The problem we have here is a president out of control who's driving up costs across the board, and we actually need to take on the special interest oil companies who are taking advantage of Californians and making $70 billion more because of this war.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, what is your position on the gas tax? You have 60 seconds.
Affordability is not a buzzword for me. It's been my life's work, sitting across from families who have been pushed into bankruptcy by bills they couldn't pay, helping families avoid foreclosure or eviction when they were cheated by subprime lenders. It is too expensive to live in California, and I get that. I'm a single mom of 3. I push a shopping cart and I fill up my minivan, which has nearly 180,000 miles on it. I absolutely feel these pressures, and I think we need to do something about it. But I also want to be clear, 82% of Californians don't breathe clean air today. And when we look at what that's costing our healthcare system, what that's costing people, we have to continue to make investments in having the cleanest fuel that we possibly can. So I absolutely think we ought to be thinking about how to move away from fossil fuels, and that means moving away from a gas tax and replacing that with the general fund taxes.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, you support temporarily suspending the gas tax. Some, including the candidates on the stage tonight, have called that proposal unserious. What's your response? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Nikki, Frank, it's great to be here with you this evening. I'm the only candidate on this stage who has called for suspending the gas tax and reforming it so it no longer is the most regressive tax in California that's putting an undue burden on working families like the one I grew up in. Look, I'm in this race because we deserve better answers. We deserve better answers than we've been getting from the other candidates on this stage. We don't need a billionaire who made his money in private prisons and oil and gas that he's now supposedly against, or Trump's handpicked candidate or a DC insider who the Sacramento establishment is now rallying around. Let me tell you who I am. I grew up in Watsonville, working class family. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a union mailman. I know what it means when gas prices go up $1 or $2 unnecessarily. I'll reform the gas tax so it's no longer the poorest, hardest working people in our state who are paying an unfair share to maintain our infrastructure.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Frank.
Mr. Becerra, you have said you don't support suspending the gas tax. Why? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, we need to make sure our roads, our highways, the potholes, we take care of business, because every day people get in their cars, they take transit, they need to get to work, they need to come home. The last thing they need to see is an infrastructure for roads and transportation that doesn't work. I remember when my parents would tell me the stories of when they came with $12 in their pocket. They had to make a life here. They needed to make sure California could work for them. Let's make sure Donald Trump is not starting reckless wars to keep the prices of gasoline down. By up to $2 a gallon, we can reduce the price if that war in Iraq that Donald Trump started would go away. My parents looked at things like this and said, hey, help me make a living here in California. That's why they were able to, at the end of the day, send my 3 sisters and I to college, buy a house, make it so that they could retire here in California. We need to bring down those prices, but we have to do it the right way. I'll make sure as governor, I tackle these crises because I've been through these crises before and had to handle them. We need someone with experience, someone who doesn't need on-the-job training the moment they get into the governor's office.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you have said you want the total elimination of the gas tax. How would we fund roads and bridges? You have 60 seconds.
So funding roads and bridges is a fundamental responsibility of government. We need to get rid of the rest of all the waste, fraud, and the abuse of the rest of government, which all of the Democrat policies over the last 20 years, 30 years have created. We only have the highest gas price in the country because of Democrat policies that are absolutely destroying the oil industry, the automobile industry, and forcing those prices up, forcing our refineries out of the state, forcing our oil companies from drilling in our state. When you send oil make it into gasoline and send it to across state lines and it miraculously becomes $2 cheaper, you know that your state is the problem. It is Democrat policies for the last 20, 30 years that are driving the cost of not only gasoline, but the cost of living in California up. We have the highest cost of living in the country because we have had one party, Democrat progressive rule for decades that is destroying the state.
Mr. Bianco, let me ask clarification one more time. How would we fund roads and bridges if you eliminate the gas tax? You have 15 seconds.
We eliminate all of the waste, the fraud, and the abuse that's going on where our money is being spent now. The number one responsibility of government is public safety. Number two is infrastructure. And if you look at where California spends its money, infrastructure is way down the line. Don't say that the gas tax is funding our roads because we have the worst roads in the entire country.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, you support permanently cutting the gas tax in half and eliminating carbon climate policies. With the supermajority of Democrats in the legislature, how would you, as a Republican governor, make any of these changes into law? You have 60 seconds.
We have to make these changes because Californians are being crushed by the gas prices, by the gas tax. We have the highest gas tax in the country for the worst roads in the country. And across the board, we have the highest taxes for the worst results. And you know who's really suffering? It's working Californians. It's small businesses. Most of my career has been in business. I know what it's like to try and run a business. The costs that are being imposed on our businesses and on workers in California is just too much. And one way or another, all the Democrats here are part of this system that obviously isn't working. We need common sense solutions. We need practical solutions. Why are we importing oil from 7,500 miles away in Iraq rather than using the oil we have here in California? That's the kind of common sense change that as governor, I will be there to persuade the legislature to do, because they in the end want to help Californians too.
And just to clarify the question again, how would you as a Republican governor make any of these changes into law with a supermajority of Democrats? 15 seconds.
The first point is that to open up California oil production doesn't need the legislature because it's through executive action. The way that they've been closing it down is through an agency of the executive branch called CalGEM, the California Department of Geologic and Energy Management. I would replace the people in there and give them a clear instruction to issue permits to our oil industry to produce oil here in California so we can cut gas prices for California families and businesses.
Thank you very much, Nikki.
This next question is a follow-up question. It is for all of you. Should electric vehicle drivers pay a mileage-based road tax to fund infrastructure? Mr. Steyer, we'll start with you. You have 30 seconds.
So let me say this. I think it is critical that California get off fossil fuels. Electric vehicles starting cost is too high, and I would triple the credit so that people can afford to buy electric vehicles and no longer be subject to the fossil fuel costs and the fossil fuel control. Should they be paying the equivalent of a gas tax? Yes. But the truth is, electric vehicles are cheaper. That is our future, and we need to move to it as fast as possible.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
I think all taxes should be progressive. The very wealthy, the billionaires, should pay more. The problem with a gas tax or a vehicle's mile traveled tax is that it does the opposite. It punishes the lowest income Californians, those who have the longest commutes to work and can least afford fancy vehicles. So I think it's important that we fund this, as I've said, out of the general fund. We do need to move toward electric vehicles over time, but the reason they're not getting purchased isn't range anxiety, it's pocketbook issues.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
I would reform the way we're funding infrastructure by issuing a flat fee on all vehicles, whether they're EVs or gas powered. Right now, gas powered families, disproportionately lower income families, people living in rural communities are paying 3 times more to maintain our roads. The way to achieve our climate goals is to invest in innovation, infrastructure, smart targeted subsidies, not to punish working people who can't afford an EV.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you, and I'll repeat it. Should electric vehicle drivers pay a mileage-based road tax to fund infrastructure? You have 30 seconds.
Well, let's think about our commuters and what they would want to see. I know that they want to see roads, bridges, highways that work for them, that let them get to work, that let them pick up their kids. They don't want to have potholes that ruin their vehicle tires and wheels. They want to have roads, bridges, highways that work. So I would say, let's take a look at all of the above. Whatever works. I'm not going to let our transportation infrastructure crumble. We have to make sure it's working for all of us. And so let's consider anything that works that the public can get behind. That's how I would do it.
Specifically, though, just to clarify here, would you support a tax for electric vehicles? 15 seconds.
If we see that that's one option that people support, I would make sure that we are funding our infrastructure. We can't let that go, because what we have is when we let our roads and our bridges crumble, people suffer, commuters suffer, and we pay a higher price. So we will fund our transportation infrastructure.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
Let me make this very, very clear. California doesn't have a money problem. We have a money spending problem by decades of Democrat failures. Every answer you've had so far for the California public, they're raising your taxes. They're taking more and more of your money because they refuse to stop their spending. No, I will not support a tax on mileage. No, I will not support a gas tax. It is a government's responsibility to have priorities, and infrastructure is an absolute priority. We are getting rid of all the waste, and we are doing what government is supposed to do.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
No, we cannot keep going in this direction with Democrats constantly going for their insatiable appetite for more and more taxes for their bottomless money pit. And now the mileage tax, they want to track you everywhere you drive. No, I would veto that. We need to cut spending and cut taxes so that we can give relief to families and businesses. My plan is for $3 gas and your first 100 grand tax free. That's what we need to do to make our state Cal affordable.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Frank.
Our next question tonight is about an issue we all see every day in California, homelessness. There are 187,000 people experiencing homelessness in the state right now. In a recent Inside California Politics poll, 86% of those surveyed believe the homeless problem has stayed the same or is getting worse. We want to ask a question about Governor Newsom's performance on homelessness. What letter grade would you give him on handling the issue? And what, if anything, would you do differently? Ms. Porter, we're going to begin with you. You recently gave the governor a solid A- when it comes to his overall job performance. What grade would you give him on homelessness? And what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness. I don't think this has been an easy problem to solve, but I do give him a lot of credit for calling attention to the problem. When he campaigned 8 years ago, he was talking about housing when nobody else was. Our homelessness problem is a direct correlate of our housing problems. We're not going to solve homelessness without bringing down the cost of housing. That's why housing has been my #1 issue since the day I launched this race over a year ago. What I would do differently than Governor Newsom is fund homelessness prevention. It is so much more cost effective and so much more humane to prevent families from becoming homeless in the first place, and making sure that if they do lose their home, that they're able to land in an interim housing or shelter situation. We can't solve this problem because the problem keeps getting worse. For every person we put into permanent supportive housing, somebody else loses their home and takes their place. That's why Californians don't feel like we're making progress despite spending significant money.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. Mr. Mahan, you've given Governor Newsom grades ranging from A to D, depending on the issue. What grade would you give him on homelessness? And what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Frank, look, the assessment does depend on the issue, and I'm going to leave the letter grades to you and all the pundits out there. Let me tell you what we've done in San Jose, because we've created a model for the rest of the state. We've increased trust in local government by 40%, primarily because we have moved thousands of people indoors. I had to take on the establishment within my own party to change the way we were spending our money. We were spending $1 million a door and taking years to build alternatives to the streets. Instead, we built basic, dignified shelter, invested in prevention. And when shelter was available, we required that people come indoors. We've reduced unsheltered homelessness in San Jose by nearly 1/3 over the last 4 years. That's why trust in government in San Jose has increased. It's why fewer people are outdoors. And it's part of the reason that our streets are safer and cleaner. I'm proud of what we've done. I'll demand results from every city and every county in California as governor.
I'd like to clarify and ask you one more time to give a letter grade to help voters understand your assessment of Governor Newsom's job on this issue. You have 15 seconds.
All right, Frank, since you insisted, look, I'll give him a B on Care Court and Prop 1 and many of the important initiatives that he championed, where I've been proud to stand with him. I'm going to give us all, though, a D on implementation. San Jose has led the way. A few other places have, but we have not delivered the results people deserve.
Thank you very much for the letter grades. Mr. Becerra, we haven't seen you issue a letter grade on Governor Newsom's overall performance. What grade does he get on homelessness? And what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A. Here's what I would do that's different, though. I would focus on accountability. I would make sure if we're sending billions of dollars down to the local communities, to our cities and our counties, that we would demand accountability for the dollar that we're going to give them. We need to see results, and results are what you see on the streets. We need to pull folks up, help get them back on their feet, and that's what I would do. But what I will tell you is my principal job as governor, and I'm glad to hear other people are saying this, is I'm going to keep you housed. If you are in a home right now, renting or owning, if you lose your job unexpectedly, or you have a medical emergency, and now you're about to become homeless as a result of that now unaffordable expense, Tell me what you need. How can I help you keep your home? Because it costs me so much more money to pick you off the streets, provide you with the assistance in the shelter than it does to keep you in the home that you're already paying for.
Mr. Becerra, let me ask you a follow-up question. You're saying that anyone who needs housing assistance, you will help them. That means the government will help them. How much is that going to cost? And where does that money come from? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, Frank, we spend billions, tens of billions of dollars right now to try to pull people off the streets. Do you think it's working? It would cost us a fraction of that amount to help someone who temporarily lost their job stay in the home. If they, for 2 or 3 months, fall behind on the rent, they don't get kicked out because we'll try to support them. A zero interest loan. You can keep them in their home. I save a lot more money by keeping them in the house than watching them hit the streets and then try to find them and pick them up. Far more expensive.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Nikki?
Mr. Bianco, you have been very critical of Governor Newsom. What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what would you do differently?
Well,
you have 60 seconds.
I think we've just learned of the failure of the California education system, too, if we can't even realistically assign grades to failure. It is an absolute dismal failure, and anyone that says it's not is fooling themselves or trying to fool voters. We are not dealing with homeless, so stop calling it homeless. It has nothing to do with homes. This is drug and alcohol-induced psychosis, mental illness causing the other. It doesn't matter. But these people are suffering from drug and alcohol abuse and mental illness. We would have fixed this problem probably already had the Democrats in California, in state legislature, and our governor funded Prop 36 to give us the treatment that we need. I am on the front lines of this. I've been on the front lines of this for 33 years. This has nothing to do with the home. Until we actually start caring about these people, you have compassion to look them in the face and tell them that you're going to walk by them and ignore them. If that's what you're going to do, you're just a part of the failure of government. We are going to deal with this for what it is. It is not homes.
Mr. Bianco, I just want to clarify here the second part of the question. If you're elected governor, what would you do differently? You have 15 seconds.
Every single bit of the money going to nonprofits and NGOs for homeless ends the day I take over. And a small portion of that will go to the funding of the drug and alcohol treatment centers that they need, the mental health treatment centers that they need, and then more importantly,
Mr. Bianco,
the combination of drug and alcohol.
Thank you. Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, you've given the governor an F on his overall performance. When it comes to homelessness, has he done anything right? You have 60 seconds.
Well, by the way, I'd love to be in your class, Katie, if you get a B for what Gavin Newsom's done on homelessness. My goodness, of course it's an F. It shames our state, the situation with homelessness. We have about 10% of the US population, around 50% of the country's homeless population. And as for Javier praising Gavin Newsom for the photo op where he tried to pretend he was cleaning up a homeless encampment, literally Gavin Newsom did that 3 times in a row. Nothing changed. And nothing will change if you have one of these Democrats in power. It will be more of the same. My plan is a common sense 3-point plan. Number 1, it is illegal to live and camp on the streets. We need to enforce the law. Number 2, we need to get people into the drug treatment that they need, and it cannot be a choice. Number 3, we need to get people the mental health care that they need instead of the barbaric situation we have right now in California as a result of these Democrat policies, where the main place where we're treating people with mental health problems is jail. That has to change.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Ms. Porter, Mr. Becerra, I'll let you respond, but I just want to clarify the second part of my question. Do you think the governor has done anything right on homelessness?
No, everything has taken us in the wrong direction. That's why we spend, what is it, the state auditor found, $24 billion of our money spent on homelessness. They have no idea where it went because it's going into these nonprofits and crony developers that are, instead of solving the problem, they are profiting.
Okay, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Ms. Porter, I'll allow you to respond. You have 15 seconds.
If you were in my class, Mr. Hilton, you would learn in my bankruptcy and consumer protection class that the majority of homeless people in California are actually working. They're not just people on the streets. It's not just people with mental illness or people with drug or substance use problems. It's also families who are fleeing intimate partner and domestic violence. It's people who are double and tripled up. It's people who are living in their cars on our college campuses. Homelessness comes in a lot of different forms. And if we don't see the whole problem, if we demonize them from one perspective, we'll never be able to solve this problem.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra allowed you to respond to Mr. Hilton there. You have 15 seconds.
Well, it's interesting to watch someone who has served as a talking head on a Fox News program telling us how government should run when he never has run any government in his life. And it's fascinating to see that he can do all these things, but he's talking about not collecting any revenue to be able to do any of this work. It doesn't add up. The math doesn't work. But then that's what happens. You can be a talking head and not worry about the consequences of what you do.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Steyer, the last time you were asked to grade Governor Newsom, let me ask this question. Okay. We know you have a lot to say tonight. We have a lot to get to. So let me ask you this question here. Mr. Steyer, the last time you were asked to grade Governor Newsom, you passed, saying that you hadn't followed his record closely enough. Are you ready to give him a grade on homelessness? And what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
So I give the governor a B- on this. And I want to start with a simple statement, which is no one gets well on the street. What I would do is make sure to keep as many people off the street, and if they're on the street, to get them off as fast as possible. Because Only 1 in 7 people who becomes homeless starts with a serious mental health problem, either bipolarism or some sort of substance abuse. But being on the street itself is such a stressful, vulnerable, dangerous place that it creates mental health problems for many people. That's why I'm in favor of emergency interim housing, getting people into one room with a key, shared laundry and food. You don't have to be clean, and you can bring your animal. We need to get people off the street. And let's remember this. We want our cities to be walkable and safe. We want kids to be safe walking down the street. Cleaning up this problem gives us a chance to rejuvenate our inner cities, to make them vibrant, and a place where we're going to build more housing and put more people.
And Mr. Steyer, I just want to clarify that last part when you said get people off the streets and into housing. Is that something that you would force them to do?
Well, let me say this. The point about emergency interim housing is this. People want to go to it. This is something that actually is designed to meet their needs, as opposed to the huge shelters or waiting 7 years to get them into permanent housing, which costs, Matt Mahan was saying it costs $1 million a key, and the numbers I've heard are between $750,000 and $1 million. Being homeless for 7 years is an incredibly dangerous thing to do, and it's the most compassionate thing we can do, is to provide the interim housing that gets people to places they want to be.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Mr. Mahan, I'll let you respond since he invoked your name and called out the figure there.
Yeah, thanks. Well, look, it has cost $1 million a door. I can show you the receipts from projects that have been approved across the Bay Area. It's worth keeping in mind, the only housing Tom Steyer's built has been private prisons and ICE detention centers. Here's the truth. The reality is when you build interim housing, and what Tom's pointing to is the San Jose model. We've built interim housing, dignified alternatives to the streets. 70-80% of people have been willing to come indoors. There's also a share of folks who are out there who are unwilling or unable to come indoors.
Mr. Mahan,
we have to be able to mandate treatment.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Steyer, I'll give you 15 seconds.
So let me say this. My wife and I started a nonprofit bank to basically go in and support the people who can't get financing from normal banks. We have financed 17,000 low-income housing units. We have made sure that every loan is measured only for its impact on the community, either in terms of economic growth or environmental sustainability. And we don't make a dime out of it, and we absolutely never will.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Now we would like to ask a question about each of your individual campaigns. You will have 1 minute to answer this question. Mr. Mahan, we will start this round with you. Artificial intelligence is replacing jobs in every industry. Your campaign is supported in part by billionaire tech executives. How can voters concerned about AI trust you to work for them and not the tech industry? You have 60 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm the only candidate on this stage who has direct experience with deploying AI in government and regulating it. We created the playbook in San Jose that hundreds of other cities and counties use to put restrictions on how technology is used. Being the mayor of the largest city in Silicon Valley, I am at the forefront of these technological changes. I know that these tools can be harnessed to do great good, to make government more efficient and more responsive. We've sped up buses and improved language access, but I also understand the risks to privacy, misinformation and manipulation, job loss, which is why we've put strict regulations on our use of technology that other cities are following. We've created the first AI upskilling curriculum for our workforce so that they aren't displaced by technology, but they can use it to enhance their work. I am not afraid to regulate big tech or any other industry. And as governor, I'll make sure we protect the people of California.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, you were chair of the Democratic caucus when Eric Swalwell was elected to Congress. You said in a recent interview that, quote, many of us heard the rumors. What rumors did you hear? And should you have pursued the rumors as a member of Democratic leadership? You have 60 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. Yeah, you hear rumors all the time about all sorts of things. Rumors are not facts. And the caucus, the Democratic caucus, is not a place that adjudicates those things. It's law enforcement that does. If someone had come forward, we could then have investigations. I say that as the former Attorney General for the state of California. When I was Attorney General, we did go after sex trafficking. We did go after those who abuse of young women and take advantage of them. We did prosecute people. There was an individual who was a religious leader who was taking advantage of young women. We prosecuted that individual. And today he is in jail for his crimes. We have gone after people, but we go after them based on evidence and based on facts. Unfortunately, we have a president today who would go after someone based on rumors. That's not the way we do it in America. We have to have the facts. Rumors are one thing, but getting the facts really gets you to move. And let me just applaud those courageous survivors who stood up and told America what the truth was. And today, Eric Swalwell was facing accountability.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Frank.
Mr. Bianco, you took an unprecedented action recently, seizing 650,000 certified ballots by your own county election officials as part of an investigation into election fraud because of an allegation by one group. The California Supreme Court has ordered that investigation paused for now. Do you believe California elections are secure? And would you consider taking the same action after the primary election if you don't believe the results? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we're never going to know if our elections are secure because when law enforcement does legitimate investigations into the allegations, it's stopped by our current Democrat one-party rule in California, particularly our embarrassment of an attorney general. So this was a very, very basic, normal investigation. The allegation didn't come from a group. It came from reports that our own records, county records from the registrar of voters that do not match the output of votes counted. So a very simple investigation would have counted those ballots to see if they match the votes. But we now have a massive political outcry from our attorney general using political lawfare to stop a lawful investigation. And it wasn't stopped. The investigation was not stopped by the Supreme Court. It was stopped so we could argue these ridiculous allegations from the attorney general about whether or not he has authority to stop that investigation in the first place.
And to clarify, would you consider taking the same action after this primary election if you don't believe the results? You have 15 seconds.
You made that assumption that that's why this happened. That is absolutely horrific that you basically said that I did that because of how I felt. If we get information, I've been 33 years in law enforcement investigating crime. Do you want me to start doing that with murders? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is an absolute ridiculous question. This is a ridiculous topic because we have an allegation of voter fraud. And Californians are sick of voter fraud. They're sick of politics and they believe there's voter fraud.
Right,
but when
Mr.
we
Bianco.
tried to fix it, it is stopped.
All right, Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, you said you were deeply honored to recently receive President Trump's endorsement. That's despite the fact that 62% of Californians disapprove of the job he is doing. Are those Californians wrong? You have 60 seconds.
One of the proudest days of my life was the day I became an American citizen. It happened in a ceremony right here in San Francisco. So it is a deep honor for me to be endorsed by the President of the United States. And here's the thing that's going to help every Californian when I'm governor, is that we will have a constructive relationship and partnership with the federal government, which would be the case, I would hope, for any party in that situation, so that we can make things better in California, work with the president and his administration to manage our forests better, to harvest the timber so we can build the single family homes we need for young families, to work to increase California energy production as he wants to do, so we can lower gas prices, to fight the fraud in our government so we can cut spending and cut taxes, to work to enforce our immigration laws in all these areas and more. It will benefit every Californian to have a governor who is a partner on these issues with the president and his team.
Nikki?
Mr. Steyer, you are the only billionaire in this race. According to reports, you and your wife paid $5.4 million in federal taxes in 2024. You have said repeatedly, quote, tax me more. How much more should you be paying? And there's nothing preventing you from paying more. Have you? You have 60 seconds.
So let me say this. I'm the only billionaire on the ballot, Nikki, but I'm not the only billionaire in this race. The billionaires and corporations are spending big in this race to oppose me and to support the other people on this stage. In 2024, corporations spent $540 million to lobby in Sacramento. They are literally spending tens of millions of dollars against me. I'm the billionaire who wants to tax other billionaires. I'm the billionaire who's taking on the electric monopolies and trying to break up their power. I'm the billionaire who wants to tax the oil companies and make polluters pay. So when you say I'm the only billionaire in the race, yes, but I'm the person who is the change agent in this state. I'm the person who's taking on the funded corporate interests who are driving up costs for Californians in every place. No one wants to take them on. I'm doing it. They're spending tens of millions. And let me say this. On Earth Day, the oil companies dropped $5 million today against me to fight me on Earth Day. Thank you very much.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. And I just want to clarify for people watching this right now, two parts of the question. You said tax me more. How much more? And there's nothing preventing you from paying more taxes. Have you?
My wife and I have said that we will give the bulk of our money away while we're alive and in the process of doing that. But me paying more taxes is not the answer. I've said I believe
you can say that again, Tom.
Wait, no,
Mr.
Steve,
Hilton,
let me finish.
Mr. Hilton, Mr. Hilton.
I've said one person putting more money into the system.
Mr. Hilton, if you guys are both talking, people at home won't be able to hear you. So
if one person puts more money into the government, that doesn't solve it. We need structural change. And in every one of the places where Californians are being ripped off, where it's impossible for them to make rent at the end of the month,
Mr. Steyer,
I'm taking on the special interest, and they're fighting back.
Mr. Steyer,
they're the person who's
Mr.
coming
Steyer,
after me
thank
because
you.
they're scared of me.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Frank.
Ms. Porter, you've acknowledged that your interactions with an aide and with a reporter captured on videos which went viral were, in your words, a bad look and that you could have done better. What have you done to address those concerns? And as a person who frequently speaks about being a parent on the campaign trail, what would you tell your own kids if they ever faced a boss like that? You have 60 seconds.
I apologized that day to that staffer 4 years ago. And I took responsibility then, and I have taken responsibility since, acknowledging that it was not the right way to treat someone. And that is a big contrast to what we have seen other candidates do when they have been called out for misconduct. I'm proud that that staffer in that video and I continued to work together for 4 years following that incident, and it speaks to how I addressed it. I work hard with my team to deliver for Californians, things like free COVID testing in the first weeks of the pandemic, things like cracking down on pharmaceutical price gouging, calling out a bank CEO for the fact that their employees couldn't pay for housing. All of my accomplishments have come from my team. And I would say that if somebody is treating you rudely, you should speak up. And that's what I would want my children to do. And that's what I did when I was being pushed again and again and again to kowtow, to give in and defend Donald Trump when he was engaged in despicable actions. I wasn't going to do that for that reporter, and I will not do it as governor.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. And with that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to ask the candidates about an exclusive report that shed new light on a battle between California and the Trump administration. You are watching Debate Night in California.
当然了，现在他们休息一下子。从目前看起来的话，你可以看得出他们的立场慢慢的已经呈现出来了。这些民主党人士就在打分的问题，你可以看得出，他们是不想得罪州长Newsom。当然从他们对的问题这个油价问题还有做这些的话，你可以看得出，他们完全是这个。一方面不脱离实质，就像我们这个网友里边提到的话，其实在加州汽油价格早就高于各州了。以后加州每个 gallon 的汽油这个在外州是2块钱，加州已经是4块多其中一半以上都是我们的州税。所以为什么我们2位共和党候选人一直的反对要加任何税当然这个Tom Steyer 这个亿万富翁他说要将那个汽油让石油公司里边的话要加税让他们付出来以后Katie Potter 讲的东西也是不脱离实质，还是执着的。他们这2位呢可以看得出环保执着就很重要要发动电车这些。因为执着人士的说，我们汽油很贵，所以大家的话就不会开车了，我们空气就变清新了所以这完全是跟我们生活完全脱节的这2位基层人士当然这个马汉这个位刚才也有在那边他说的话，我们这位市长几周前已经通过特殊法律这个 ICE 这部分的彻底，剩下的话ICE 这部分这个这部分待会还有很重要的，他们的每个人的立场也会有当然这个 Kevin 说拿别人的钱来做善事我也可以但是别人一般人的日子都没办法过。还有这个他们亿万富翁里边他不会理解到这些企业的话慢慢的小生意没办法生存生活成本太贵太高了。所以我们再继续来看看的话下半场的这个辩论会。
Welcome back to Debate Night in California. The race for governor coming to you live from San Francisco.
All right, let's move on to our next question. In an exclusive Cron 4 report, a California Highway Patrol officer was recorded giving a roadside English proficiency test to a commercial truck driver. Let's take a look at the video.
And now do me a favor. Tell me what this sign means. So what does this mean? What is it telling you? What does this sign mean?
This video is captured following the U.S. Department of Transportation withholding $40 million in funding, saying California is the only state in the country that refuses to ensure big rig drivers can read road signs and communicate with law enforcement.
Mr. Becerra, we begin this round with you. Should the CHP be giving English proficiency tests to truck drivers? And if not, would you as governor push back against the Trump administration on this policy? You have 60 seconds.
I would definitely push back on the Trump administration on, again, a reckless policy. I would make sure that that officer understands that he cannot discriminate against any driver without having a basis to do so. I understood a little bit of what that individual was trying to say. I couldn't see the signs, but it certainly sounded like he was trying to describe what that particular sign was trying to represent. And so we have to be very careful that we're not profiling consumers in California, drivers in California. It is against the law. And our police officers, while they try to do the best job of keeping safety, have to understand they have to abide by the rules and treat everyone, every motorist, the same way. And so if that officer had some basis to be qualified, let's take a look at that. But let's not find that people are being discriminated against because of what they look like. Is that officer asking everyone he pulls over to explain those road signs, or is he asking only people who look like me? And if he's doing that, then he's violating the law.
And I just want to clarify, do you think CHP should be giving English proficiency tests?
As far as I know, the Academy does not train CHP officers to be giving English proficiency exams. So that officer has some explaining to do.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you are the only law enforcement officer on the stage tonight. Should this type of roadside testing become standard practice across California? And what should happen to drivers if they do fail? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we have to, first off, acknowledge that we actually do have rules and we actually do have laws. And if they are not abiding by those laws and California is giving them driver's licenses when they do not qualify for those driver's licenses and we're sending them out onto the streets, we also have seen several horrific accidents that were attributed to people that did not understand English or that could not comprehend the road signs that were the street signs that they were supposed to be abiding by. So we don't know the context of this. This is what's super important, especially in law enforcement. You have to know the entire context of this entire stop and this entire video, not just the small section. But if he is verifying whether or not someone can read signs, my guess is he was stopped for violating a sign and he's trying to verify that he could. And let's stop with this whole racism thing and racial profiling and all of this garbage. We have to get over this. You either violated the law or you didn't. End of story. Consequences for bad behavior.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, would you require full compliance with the federal language standards for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
So I've discussed this with someone called Marcus Coleman from Bakersfield. His beautiful daughter, Delilah, was put into a coma by someone driving a truck. An illegal immigrant, didn't speak English, and his daughter now disabled for life. That's what we're dealing with here. It is completely ridiculous that we have people driving on our roads who can't understand road signs and can't speak English. So yes, of course, and I've discussed this with my friend Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, we will not be issuing commercial driver licenses when I'm governor to people who are illegally here and who don't speak English. That is obvious common sense.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Frank.
Mr. Steyer, where do you draw the line on this? Should language proficiency for truckers be strictly enforced, even if it means that some of them will probably lose their jobs? You have 60 seconds.
Look, I agree with what was said, which is we don't know the context of this stop. But what I can say is this: racial profiling is illegal. And in fact, picking on people based on the color of their skin in the state of California is illegal. I have a program for ICE that involves prosecuting them for racial profiling, prosecuting them for violence against Californians and the supervisors, studying, investigating their detention centers, having legal defense funds for people who've been kidnapped and put in those detention centers, and a Know Your Rights PR campaign. Listen, what we're talking about here is whether police officers and the criminal justice system treats people fairly based on the color of their skin. I will say this: Donald Trump posted against me last week because I said ICE has to obey the law in California. The head of ICE posted against me, but I'm not going to step back because the truth is racial profiling is illegal, violence is illegal, and the governor of California needs to stand up for Californian citizens every time.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, same question. Do you believe that English proficiency, language proficiency should be strictly enforced for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
I would absolutely fight the Trump administration because the job of the California governor is to protect Californians. And right now, that includes protecting them from Donald Trump. Protecting Californians also includes enforcing traffic laws. And we've seen sometimes a need for oversight in California. For example, we have seen that the Department of Motor Vehicles was not enforcing rules around DUIs and drivers who had convictions for that. I am stunned that Mr. Bianco would say to Black and brown Californians and immigrants who are being terrorized and racially profiled that you have to get over racism. It's not something that you get over. It's something that you fight. And if he doesn't understand the importance of that, he has no business representing a state with the diversity of California.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. Mr. Bianco, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond.
Yeah, again, that's not even close to what I said. What I said is we're Californians, and I'm speaking for them, especially from law enforcement. When I deal with persons of color every single day, Californians are absolutely sick and tired of our politicians making race the basis of everything. It is not. And this racial divide that they are pushing between law enforcement and the public, or Democrat and Republican, absolutely has to stop. And I'm telling you, we are sick of it.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Mahan, as a mayor of a city in which 42% of the residents are foreign-born, do you believe that English proficiency tests for truckers are necessary? You have 60 seconds.
No, Frank, the right answer here is clearly to hold the DMV accountable for ensuring that every driver on our roadway meets the qualifications for the license that they have. That's the appropriate entity to do this. And as the mayor of not only one of the most diverse big cities in the country, but the safest big city in the country, let me tell you what creates real public safety. It's rooted in trust. When people trust the law enforcement officers who serve the community, it means that residents are more likely to report crime, to serve as witnesses, to provide evidence. We made San Jose the safest big city in the country by building that trust between law enforcement and the community that they serve. That will be my priority as governor, but we should never lower the standard that agencies like the DMV enforce. As governor, I will also ensure that every state agency lives up to its responsibility.
Clarification, English proficiency, 15 seconds. Exams?
The DMV has exams, and it's not about whether or not you speak English. I represent one of the most diverse cities and the safest city. What the DMV is responsible for doing is not testing how good your English is. It's whether or not you're a safe driver who understands the rules.
All right, Mr. Mahan, thank you. Nikki?
This is another round where you will all be getting the same question. We're asking for a yes or no answer here. If you do not finish in the top two on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? Mr. Steyer, we will start with you. Yes or no?
Yes. Do you want me to go to elaborate, or is it just yes?
Yes or no? Yes.
Yeah, I said yes.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Ms. Porter?
Absolutely yes.
I guess we are going to let you elaborate, so I'll go back to you, Mr. Steyer. I'll give you 15 seconds.
Let me put it to you this way. If there's a Republican in the race, that Republican will be supported by and also supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump is raising our gas prices. Donald Trump is kicking 1 to 3 million people off Medi-Cal. Donald Trump is he is trying to punish California every way he can. And the people who are supporting him are also supporting ICE. That is a legal organization that is terrorizing and victimizing California. How can I support that?
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, I know that you said yes. Your response.
Yes, absolutely. And I have a track record of supporting other Democrats. Mr. Steyer likes to talk about his giving pledge, but what he's done with his own money is more give me an opportunity to be the governor. I think it's really important that we support other Democrats. I've campaigned for other people in purple seats. I've raised money for other people. I was a successful fundraiser and a successful campaigner, and I've used that to beat Donald Trump everywhere we can. And I would do the same thing in this race.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, we'll come to you. If you don't finish in the top two on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? You have 15 seconds.
Well, we don't have party primaries, but assuming there's a Democrat and a Republican, I'll endorse the Democrat, but I will make very clear to them and everyone else that the best resistance to Donald Trump is delivering results in people's lives, just as I've done as the mayor of the third largest city in the state, where we're building thousands of homes,
Mr. Mahan,
we've reduced crime and reduced homelessness.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you.
What we need is the best person who can fight those who are attacking California, like Donald Trump, someone who's actually taken on Donald Trump, not just fought, but won. Not someone who just wants to fight to do more for housing, but has and can improve the lives of so many people, has fought for better health care. I will support that Democrat in the runoff.
Mr. Becerra,
I'm hoping
thank you.
I'm the one that's there.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Frank?
I'll ask the Republicans now. We've heard from the Democrats. Mr. Bianco, if you do not finish in the top two on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? 15 seconds.
The only people who are hurting California are Democrats. It is not Donald Trump. They keep saying Donald Trump because Democrat policies are a dismal failure in California. They have nothing to point to. If I'm not going to support my opponent because it's going to be he and I going to November.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Hilton, if you do not finish in the top two on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? 15 seconds.
Yes, I will, because we've had 16 years of one-party rule by these Democrats. It's given us the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest cost of living in America. It is obviously desperately time for change in California. It's time for some balance in our system. We have to elect a Republican as governor this year.
Thank you very much. Nikki?
Now we are going to go to our closing statements, but that does not mean the debate is over. We will continue to be live on our last half hour of our digital channels and on YouTube. To get there quickly, just scan the QR code on your left side of your screen. Mr. Mahan, we will begin with you. Closing statements. You have 30 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm running for governor because Californians deserve better. We deserve a government that is accountable for delivering results in people's lives. As mayor of the third largest city in the state, I've delivered the biggest decreases in crime and homelessness. We have thousands of homes under construction. I know what it looks like to take on the establishment within my own party to make government deliver results for working people. We don't need MAGA, but we also don't need more of the same. That's why I'm offering something different.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Ms. Porter, you have 30 seconds.
California, this election is about who you can trust to fight for you. One candidate is a billionaire who got rich off polluters and ICE prisons and is now using that money to fund his election. Another candidate for nearly 40 years cashed corporate checks and then lacked the courage to take them on. I'm not like them. I have never taken corporate money. That's why I have always stood firm against Donald Trump and special interests. I'm like you, a mom fighting for a better future for California.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, you have 30 seconds.
California is going through a crisis, and we need someone who knows how to govern in crisis, not someone who's going to need training wheels the moment they walk into the governor's office. This is a time to have someone who's actually fought those crises, whether it's the man-made crisis coming from Washington, D.C., or whether it's the cost of living crisis that we face here at home. We need someone who's actually fought and won. Beat back Donald Trump to save the Affordable Care Act all the way to the Supreme Court. Beat back Donald Trump in preserving the DACA program for Dreamers. Been able to do that and win for the people.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, we have all heard their platform now. It's more taxes and a complete lack of responsibility. I have 33 years of dealing with the consequences of their poor decisions and of their poor policies and the Democrat agenda for the last 33 years. I am running for Californians because Californians do deserve better. They deserve someone with honesty, transparency, integrity, and most importantly, proven leadership. If you want the status quo, keep the status quo. If you want a better California, I'm asking for your vote.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Steyer, you have 30 seconds.
The people raising the cost for California don't want me to be governor. I'm the change agent here, and they don't want change. And in politics, it's pretty easy to figure out who you are by seeing who opposes you and who supports you. Let me tell you who opposes me. The oil companies, PG&E, the realtors, the drug companies, Donald Trump, and the head of ICE. Let me tell you who supports me. Progressives, environmentalists, organized labor, including teachers and nurses. None of these people are fighting anybody else. No one else on this stage is having these corporate special interests oppose them. They want to stop me.
Mr.
Steyer,
thank you.
Mr.
Steyer, thank you. Mr. Hilton, closing statements, you have 30 seconds.
We obviously need change in California. The system is not working. I'm the only one here who has never run for office before. I'm not part of this system. These Democrats can't get it done. Matt Mahan talks about his record in San Jose. Actually, homelessness and crime are going up. Javier Becerra talks about his time in government. He thought it was a good idea to put masks on 2-year-olds. We need real change in California. We need to think different. We need to vote different. My plan to make our state Cal-affordable is real and serious, and we can get it done if we just vote differently this year.
Mr. Hilton, thank you.
All right, with that wraps up the first hour of our debate tonight. We want to thank all of the candidates, first of all, for being here. We hope.
那当然的话，你可以看得出每个人的表达，从目前看起来的话，立场已经看起来的非常明显了。这两位共和党的候选人，虽然在1个小时里边的话，他们讲话每个人还不到5分钟，但是我们可以看出他们是希望求变以后降低生活成本。当然很重要一点就是这些民主党人士，他们本来就是这个制度里边体制的人士了，所以的话你可以看得出他们这个怎么变来变去都跳不出这个框架。加州生活成本那么高，以后当然很重要一点的话，就是越来越多人搬离加州，也是因为普通老百姓已经因为生活成本太高了，不得不要搬离。这些民主党人士是他们造成的，因为他们在过去20年这个16年的话州长办公室还有议会都是他们一党独大来统治并且这种这个民主党推动的政策已经造成物价上涨，犯罪率非常高，以后执着的东西动不动连警察盘问这个商业驾照的人是不会讲英文，他都说你这是种族歧视当然这个局长的话他当着他就说你这个部分动不动就扣帽子，这个完全是这个对执法人员的侮辱这个动不动就用 DEI 的帽子来扣，就是因为这种执着政策而导致这个非法移民不会讲英文的，也造成很多这种交通事故。所以你可以看得出这个 这次演讲，这个辩论会还是蛮针锋相对的完了这个之后还有半个小时，所以大家我们可以继续看一下后半个小时里边有关于还有具体的问题。
Right now is $900,000.
This is the question. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? Mr. Mahan, we're going to start with you. You have 60 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. In San Jose, we were approving thousands of housing units, 20,000 housing units over the last 7 years or so that weren't getting built. I led us through a process of looking at the data and recognizing that we in government are often in the way. We did hard things. We sped up permitting. We've used new technology to make it easier to apply. And most importantly, we reduced one-time fees that look good on paper, but we're blocking the very thing we need, housing and opportunity for people. We now have thousands of new units under construction. That's a template for the state. That's how we'll move forward. I know what's at stake. I grew up in a household that was paycheck to paycheck. I remember my family, my parents arguing about how to make the mortgage payment. Solving this problem is the most fundamental way to expand economic opportunity and upward mobility in California, and I will get the job done.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we have to give those who build the homes the incentive to do so. That means streamlining the regulations and the fees that make it impossible to believe that they can make these projects pencil out. Once we do that, we want to build smart. We want to build in the places where it makes sense. Buy transportation so it's easy to get to and from work. Make it so that we don't have commutes that are hour and a half long. We want to make sure that we help those who want to buy a house get in a house. Most Californians who are renting are essentially paying a monthly mortgage, except it's called rent. I would convert them into homeowners by helping them with their down payment. We have down payment assistance programs where we will expand the opportunity for a renter to become a homeowner. And the next thing I will do is in the first 100 days, I will make sure that we get all those projects that are essentially shovel ready to go. And there are some 40,000 housing units that are shovel ready. They just need a little kick over the finish line. I would make sure we do that, whether it's the small tranche of money they need or getting rid of some of the licensing requirements they need.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
We're going to all be honest about the problem. The problem is California state government. California state government created this housing problem. It is not that we can't afford a house. It's that builders can't afford to build a house because of the over excessive regulations on our building industry, along with every other business and industry in California. On day one, I remove all of those regulations from our building industry that will allow more, as much as a third, sometimes more depending on location, to a third of the price of a home to be removed off of that $900,000 price tag just by getting rid of the government red tape. Instead of 3 to 5 years, it's going to take 3 to 5 months to build a house. We will encourage our builders to build. When we take the restrictions away, builders build homes. We do not have a land problem in California. We have a management problem. We have a government problem that we absolutely must take away. The restrictions, the big ones, all the regulations, but CEQA, Coastal Commission, CARB, all of those on our building and building industry will be removed.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, same question to you. You have 60 seconds.
Well, if San Jose is the template for housing affordability in California, God help us. It was just rated the least affordable city for housing in the world. That is completely the wrong answer. The right answer is my plan, which was the first plan that I put forward in this campaign. Number one, we have to end this outrageous hidden tax on housing. They call it impact fees. It can add up to 20% to the cost of a home. Secondly, we have to reduce the extreme environmental regulations that make it 3 or 4 times as expensive to build the exact same home in California as in neighboring states. Number 3, we have to end the exploitative union lawsuits that are filed to block housing that extract project labor agreements that make the cost so much higher. And number 4, we have to end the war on single family homes so that we can build the housing we need for young families. We need more starter homes in California.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Mahan, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to Mr. Hilton.
Yeah, thanks. San Jose has been the most expensive city in the country since before I was born because of all the jobs created there. I know that because my parents had to move 50 miles away, even though my mom grew up there, just to afford to buy a home. What I did as mayor, though, was take ownership of the problem, unlike all the talk you're hearing on this stage. We reduced fees, sped up permitting, and now we have thousands of homes under construction.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Steyer, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Look, the biggest problem in California is that Californians can't afford to live here. And the number one problem there is housing. And I've seen people who have full-time jobs who are still having to live in their car. But if we're going to solve the housing problem, and I've said we'll build 1 million units, it's not a silver bullet the way some of these people are suggesting. It's silver buckshot. Yes, we have to shorten permitting and make it less expensive. We made a first step on it last year. We'll make more. 2, we have to redo zoning so that we build denser and around public transportation. 3, We need to actually drop the cost per square foot of building. There are ways to do it. Industrial construction away from site and then putting it together on the site drops the cost per square foot by a third. And lastly, one of the biggest reasons it's hard to build houses here is the cities and counties don't want it because they can't afford to take care of the people who are in the houses. I've said on day one, I'll call for a special election to close a corporate tax loophole. That will fund it. That will get the cities and counties on our side. The realtors are mad at me. They're fighting me, but that's the only way we drive down housing costs for the people of California.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Housing is personal to me. I've sat across from thousands of Californians who were facing eviction or foreclosure when I served the state of California for 3 years under then Attorney General, now former Vice President Kamala Harris, and I held the big banks' feet to the fire for predatory lending. I've also questioned CEOs of big banks about how the huge slice that housing takes out of their paycheck. Housing has been my number one issue since I launched this race, and I have the deepest background in housing policy of any candidate on this stage. The key is to build faster. If we built at the same speed in California as states like Colorado, we could take 10 or 20% off the cost of housing. That's real money back in families' pockets. It's not a couple bucks, it's hundreds of dollars. I just want to comment, Mr. Becerra, you have all these lovely plans, but there are never any numbers, any revenue plan, any details, anything that pushes on the status quo. It's just all due, but the how, the why, the how much, it's all missing.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to Ms. Porter's comments.
It's very rich to hear from someone who's never had to actually run a government. I have had to balance 4 budgets over the course of my time as Secretary of Health and Human Services. A budget, by the way, that was larger than the budget of the state of California. When I was Attorney General of the state of California, I had a fight, whether it was a corporate attempt to try to take advantage of Californians or whether it was a Trump administration. I got in and I filed lawsuits. They weren't frivolous lawsuits. I won most of my cases because I knew how to put down the details and the facts. So it's easy to say you haven't done this. It's easier to prove that you actually have.
May I respond?
Mr. Becerra, Ms. Porter, we have to move on. We have a lot of questions that our viewers have for us next, and Frank is going to move on to those because we have a lot to cover in little time.
We want to turn to some viewer questions that we assigned at random to each of you in a random draw. Mr. Becerra, we're actually going to begin with you. Ashley from Paris wants to know, what is one specific cost, gas, groceries, utilities, childcare, that you will lower in your first year, and exactly how will you do it? You have 30 seconds.
Actually, one of the things that I will do immediately is I will freeze utility rates and I will freeze home insurance policy premiums, because I believe it is time that Californians had an understanding of why so many of them are paying so much for both of those charges that they have when they have a home. It is time for us to get behind the curtain and understand why these industries are charging Californians so much, and in some cases dropping Californians from their insurance policy without explanation, charging twice as much. It is time for us to freeze those so Californians benefit.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you get the next question. This is Greg from Placerville, who wants to know, what is your position on automatic license plate readers, flock safety systems, and broader issues of mass surveillance? You have 30 seconds.
And so I'm a huge proponent of flock camera systems, and not flock, but the type that the ALPRs for law enforcement. They have been a game changer for law enforcement. It's not about the misconception. I want to ensure him. We don't know you're driving the car from those license plate readers. They read license plates. That's it. And we are able to find criminals who use vehicles for that.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, you get the next question. This is Carlos from Los Angeles, who wants to know, what are you going to do for California schools? You have 30 seconds.
It's an absolute scandal that we have just under half of our students can read at grade level. For math, it's 35%. Here's the plan. We're going to learn from what works in other states and around the world. The best way to teach kids to read, phonics. We're going to have that in every school. The most important thing is that you learn to read by the end of 3rd grade. Just as Mississippi has done, we're going to make sure we're going to give you help over the summer if you can't. But if you don't meet the test, you repeat the grade, and then you can move forward. And we're going to hold teachers and schools accountable for their performance.
Thank you very much. Nikki?
Mr. Steyer, Sophia from Folsom wants to know, what is your stance on remote work? You have 30 seconds.
So remote work is enabling people not to make these huge commutes. And it is a way for us to save money. It is a way to keep people off the roads. So I am a supporter of remote work, period. But let me say this as someone who has run lots of organization and lots of teams. There's reasons to be in the office that involve human interaction, that involve mentoring, that involve the growth of young people. So when you're running an organization, yes, you have to take into account costs, but more than that, you have to account for the human growth of a culture and a team.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, Toby from Costa Mesa wants to know, do you agree with schools not notifying parents if their child identifies as a different gender? You have 30 seconds.
It is between a parent and a child when a child chooses to have that conversation. The job of our educators is to teach them to read by 3rd grade. That is a really important benchmark to help them make the jump from Algebra 1 to Algebra 2, which opens the door to higher paying jobs. These are conversations for kids and parents to have with each other and their healthcare providers. This is not a role for schools to be policing personal decisions.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, John Carlo from Los Angeles asked this. How would you communicate with Donald Trump if he attacks you directly or policies valued in California? You have 30 seconds.
Well, just as I've done as mayor of San Jose, when the Trump administration threatens California's people, our funding, our values, I'll fight back. We'll use the courts. In San Jose, we've sued this administration over a dozen times. We've funded legal services for our immigrant neighbors. We have used every tool at our disposal. But I will also find ways to invite federal agencies to help us rebuild LA, reduce fire risk. We need a partnership, and we need to find common ground with this administration on certain issues.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Frank.
We'd like to move on to our next question. Many Californians cannot get home insurance anymore, or their premiums have skyrocketed. Insurance companies blame wildfire risk and catastrophic losses. Many have left the state. California's FAIR Plan, a last resort option, is being swamped and is becoming a crisis for the state. Mr. Bianco, this round begins with you. What is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Again, we're going to be honest about the problem. The problem is our California state government, is our California state regulations that are affecting the insurance companies. Various regulations affecting the insurance companies, but particularly, they told us why they were leaving. They told Governor Newsom for 5 years in a row that they were going to leave if he did not change the environmental policies and protections that prevented our fire agencies from creating defensible space around our homes, our cities, and our buildings. They told him they were going to lose cities and they couldn't afford to cover it, so they were going to have to leave. So the answer is remove the regulations, let the fire agencies create that defensible space. We are being absolutely controlled by environmental activism in this state that runs every single regulatory board. And as governor, I will remove that special interest from California state government.
Mr. Bianco, thank you for that. Mr. Hilton, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
We have to be clear about why they left. They left because of Democrat policies and wrong-headed regulation. Now, some of those mistakes have been corrected. The ability for insurance companies to price in future risk, the ability of insurance companies to account for reinsurance costs. But we still have wrong regulation. And this is the 3-point plan that I've announced to fix this absolutely massive problem that is crushing so many families across California. Number one, we've got to get people off the FAIR Plan. It was designed for about 100,000 people. Now you've got over 600,000. We've got to work proactively to get those people onto commercial insurance. Number two, we have to stick to the regulatory framework that was in the original proposition that set up the insurance department. 60 days to approve rate changes. Sometimes now it's over a year. And number three, we have to stop these nuisance lawsuits, often filed by private equity from out of state, that are increasing the cost of insurance.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Steyer, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Well, skyrocketing home insurance is one of the huge problems facing California homeowners. And it's a result of catastrophic fires and houses being burnt down, and therefore insurance companies wanting to get paid for that risk. What California needs to do is reduce that risk. We need to reduce the risk of catastrophic fire. What does that look like? On a macro basis, it looks like controlled burns, reducing dry timber. On a micro basis, it means hardening houses, keeping vegetation 5 feet away, and other things. We can reduce the risk of houses burning in catastrophic fire by 90%. The point is going to be, at that point, we need the insurance companies to start writing home insurance based on the reduced risk. And it's the job of the governor to insist that they take into account the reduced risk. Insurance companies are lazy. They like to drive by a house and make a decision. When we're hardening houses and reducing risk by 90%, the governor's job is to make sure that they do the work, that they take it into account, and that housing insurance goes way down.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Nikki?
Ms. Porter, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
First, I just want to acknowledge that so many who have been affected by wildfires have not received the federal aid that California deserves from the federal government because of Donald Trump. I also want to say, as a consumer protection advocate, I would absolutely hold insurers' feet to the fire to make sure they pay out damages when homes have been burned. I think the solution is to have more insurance companies and more competition, but they're going to do that when we have reduced wildfire risk. We cannot afford to not act to reduce wildfire risk. We all lose. Families who lose their homes more than others when we face these kinds of catastrophic wildfires. So fighting climate change and fighting wildfire risk is ultimately how you reduce the number of people who are forced onto a FAIR Plan that is unstable and not financially sustainable for taxpayers.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, same question to you. What is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Nikki, I've walked through the Palisades and Altadena with families who have lost everything, and I've seen firsthand what's broken. As governor, I will take responsibility for ensuring that we better manage our public lands. We have to reduce the fire risk at the edge of our urban areas so we're not putting homeowners at risk. And when you have those catastrophic fires, it pushes up costs for everyone. We need to bring the private insurance market back, force them to compete with one another on value, allow them to appropriately price risk. And when they play games, as we've heard in some cases, of switching adjusters and dragging out the process of paying out claims, they must be held accountable by the state. And I'll make sure we do that.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to the state of California? You have 60 seconds.
I won't be as lenient as some of the responses you've heard. I believe that it's time that we get behind the curtain and find out how these insurance companies are operating, because there are still people in Altadena and Pacific Palisades who have not been paid on their claims from back in January 2025. That is ridiculous. Every month they paid their premiums. Some people had never filed a claim, yet when they finally filed this claim for these wildfires, they still can't get an answer to the question, how much they get and when they'll get it. That is not right. We should hold their feet to the fire. I'll make sure that we take on all the issues of wildfire mitigation. Sure, you have to harden your home. We have to make sure we don't have developers building in high-risk areas. We'll do all those things. But first and foremost, insurers owe those consumers, those people who paid their premiums, responses. They paid their premiums. They are owed a response on their claims. It's ridiculous that people have had to wait more than a year. That is not the way you treat a customer.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Frank.
We're going to move on to our next topic, and that is social media and our children. A California jury found Meta and Google negligent, ordering them to pay damages for designing addictive social media that contributed to mental health issues. Would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? This is going to go to each one of you. Mr. Hilton, you will go first. You have 30 seconds.
So as the father of two teenage children, I know this issue very well. But actually, it's an issue that I've been thinking about and advocating on for many, many years. 11 years ago, in my book, More Human, 2015, that was published, I made the argument that it's not just the apps, it's not just the platforms, it's the screens themselves, and that we should set a social norm that children under 16 should not have a smartphone. That is my position now. I think that every parent in their heart knows that it's wrong. Kids do not need smartphones, and we shouldn't allow it.
So just to clarify, though, on the social media side, yes or no, banning it for kids under 16?
I think it misses the point, honestly. I think that we've got to get to the heart of the problem, and that's the devices and the screens.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Steyer, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? You have 30 seconds.
Yes, I would. I've said that publicly. I think it's been clear for a long time that young people have significant mental health issues as a result of social media. And we have counted on the companies to police themselves, and that has definitely failed. And let me say that as AI is here, artificial intelligence, that is something else which very much threatens the safety and health of our children. And that is something which absolutely threatens them. And young people are addicted to their artificial intelligent friends more than their real friends. And so we are going to have to regulate these companies and have the courage to do it.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, as a mom of 3 teenagers, I will say that every kid is different. I definitely have a kid, I won't name him here, who's doing a good job with moderating social media, using it occasionally and in ways that have been helpful. I have another kid who's constantly told to put her device down, and when needed, I take it away. I do think we need to hold companies accountable when their products produce harm. If they're producing addiction, if they're failing to moderate inappropriate conduct, then we absolutely should hold them accountable. But those problems affect both kids particularly, but also adults.
And just to clarify, and forgive me if I missed it, but hold accountable or ban the usage for kids under 16?
I would not ban under 16. I might consider a different ban, but I also want to recognize that as a parent, it's an opportunity for families to make choices and have conversations about technology that these kids will see their whole lives.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? You have 30 seconds.
What I would do is require parental consent for children under 16 to be able to use social media. I would also ban cell phone use during the academic day in public schools all the way through high school. I think it's destructive to give kids products that their brains aren't fully developed and able to use safely. And so I would put those restrictions in place. I think parents should have ultimate control in this situation. My wife and I are raising 2 little kids. They're 8 and 6 years old. We limit screen time.
Mr. Mahan, same clarification. You say require parental consent. Are you yes or no on banning it under the age of 16?
The reason I would require parental consent under 16 is that there are lots of educational tools that may have social components that might connect students. There could be applications that make sense, but parents should have control over those decisions.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? 30 seconds.
Addiction is dangerous. Yes, I would absolutely work with legislators to make sure we can enact such a law. Kids have died as a result of their use of social media. Kids are going into this spiral downhill where they're not doing anything but playing with their phone. It is time for us to act. And I will tell you, as a former attorney general, I will enforce that law to make sure we are able to manage our children's development over the lifespan. And what I will tell you is this: we also have to help those families that are trying to manage their kids' use of these types of devices.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? You have 30 seconds.
No, that's up to their parents. I think it's interesting that drugs create mental illness too. And yet California Democrats have made drugs legal in California. But now we're going to ban social media because it creates a mental health issue for kids under 16. We know it creates mental health issues for adults. Social media is not a good thing for us to be spending 12 hours a day on, but it is up to parents what they want to do with their kids. It's not up to the government to tell them what their kids are going to do. And I agree, there are far too many educational benefits to these platforms than there are dangers, but it's up to parents.
All right, Mr. Bianco, thank you. Nikki?
Time's winding down. So as we like to say in TV, we're going to switch gears and ask a bit of a lighter question so people watching can get to know you on more of a personal level. Keep your answers a bit short here, but since we're on a streaming platform now, we want to know, what was the last streaming show that you watched? Mr. Steyer, we'll start with you.
I think the last streaming show I saw was probably Marshall's.
Marshall's streaming show, Marshall's. Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Porter, last streaming show that you watched.
I took a lot of heat from my kids for this, but I was watching Heated Rivalry.
Okay. Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, last streaming show that you watched.
It's the one with Kerry Russell. I think it's called The Diplomat or something. The Diplomat. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, last streaming show that you watched.
I wish I could tell you that I have time to watch streaming shows. I can't tell you that I'm much of a TV watcher.
All right, Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, last streaming show that you watched.
I don't stream and I don't watch TV.
Okay, Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, last streaming show that you watched.
We're in the middle of it right now is Reacher. One of my sons really enjoys that, probably more than the rest of us in the family, but it's been good fun to watch together.
Mr. Hilton, thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our candidates.
那个当然，这是最后一个问题我们在律师这个去陪审团选陪审员那门课的时候，我们的教授往往说这个不要问那么 serious 的问题，问一些他们喜欢往往这个生活相关系的问题，你就可以看得出他们的背景是什么你早上起来喜欢听什么音乐这个听 radio 的时候听什么哪个台，你就大概知道这个人他的背景是什么你可以看得出Tom Steyer他说他喜欢看的这个在 streaming 的话就是串流里边的话这个喜欢看 Marshall 这是Marshall 的话是一个这个法庭庭警的这样子的一个警匪片然后同样的这个Porter 他说他跟他的女儿一起看另外一个的话就是Rivalry 喜欢的话这个现实片的这部分然后当然这个马汉市长他说他有2个小孩子他现在的话也是看里边的这些也是看节目所以我们看看的话这个马汉他讲的是也是一样他想办法的就说跟小孩子一样的一种看法当然的话这个法警这部分我们看看的话所以从这部分是老派的然后这部分的话是有点heated rivalry 就是这个斗智来竞争的然后他这个 diplomat 的话只是小孩子喜欢看的话那种电视剧这个电影就是也是动作片的然后Becerra 的话这个他说 我没有时间看网剧，我基本上的话就是不吃人间烟火的，他们不看的。同样的，另外一个的话 Chuck Bianco 他说我不看电视，所以同样的 Hilton 的话，他说他真正的看的话，就是他小孩子喜欢看的，他陪他一起看。所以从这边你可以看得出，他们的性格是什么？你可以看得出的话，同样的，他们问的问题里边的话，要不要16岁这个禁止16岁的小孩子这个上网，以后这个民主党的人士的话，都是说要管，以后反而这共和党的候选人 Chuck Bianco Hilton 的话他说这个不能够这个东西的话只是家长来决定的。当然这些你可以看得出，还有这个单独提问里边有几个蛮尖锐的问题，大家都可以看得到。民主党跟共和党的候选人里边，他们一般的话民主党的一定要什么东西都管，以后但是共和党候选人认为应该是家长要有个责任，以后小孩子的管教不应该是政府来管，而是自己来管这些当然的话，在里边我们也可以看得出他们两党之间的不同的政治理念，也有在里边的话同党人士的针锋相对。你可以看得出 Katie Porter 咄咄逼人，一下子嘲笑这个亿万富翁，以后另外一下子攻击这个前卫生部部长说你做部长的时候的话你有没有管过有没有在房屋这方面的话根本没有这方面的这个经验，在保险这方面同样也是一样的相互攻击为什么？因为 Eric Swalwell 退选之后他的票全都留给了Bosella 现在的话跟这个亿万富翁Tom Steyer 的话花了1.3亿以后好不容易的话现在已经爬上去了，没想到 Eric Swalwell 的选票的话既然跑到了这个Bosella手上了，所以的话这个 Porter 的话跟Mahon 他们要奋起直追。当然的话这里边的话也是因为在民主党里边他要打赢 Tom Steyer 亿万富翁，要打赢前卫生部部长所以这部分的话他们两个的话也攻击这两位这个民主党的这个前面的人当然所有的这些不管是这个 Sawyer 或者 Bosella 还有 Porter 他们的攻击讲这个Hilton 讲Chuck Bianco这个他说要么就是得到川普支持的，要么就是支持川普的 Chuck Bianco 这样的人，所以的话他说一个是选了所以这个部分他们民主党又开始围攻共和党的候选人想办法的话说这两位共和党的代表都是川普政策的推动者，然后这个当然这部分你可以看得出为什么，因为加州长期以来是这个兰州在去年2026年贺锦丽得到了这基本上快60%，而川普达到40%所以在共和党在加州登记成为共和党的是24%，然后中间选民大概也有10%这个16左右的话16%支持的川普，所以得到了这个40%的选票，所以他们现在想办法的话，这两个共和党的候选人的话，想办法要挤进去的话有可能他们想办法将共和党能够得到的选票限制在40%，所以的话他们现在这4位民主党人士想办法的话，一方面要将共和党这两位候选人拖下来，另外一方面的话也要能够挤进最后前面这两位。所以的话就目前看起来大家对这个辩论会有什么样的看法，大家来发表意见，我们来挑几个来看看 然后当然的话，有一个的话就是海军总司令这部分的话，有没有其他的亚裔的记录？现在还是第一个人。对，现在的话在内阁官员里边，除了 Stephen Chung 是华人，在担任川普的顾问5位这个助手之中的一个重要推手里边的话这个真正在内阁官员里边就是这个行超是属于最高的了。当然全部庇护绿卡要吊销这个不是这个部分现在绿卡他申请现在有380万的还在排期，还在不像以前一样这个要小停之后过了几停现在的话就是最新的消息Stephen Miller 里边发表的话就是对过去4年已经获取通过的庇护要可能会重审。但是移民局有没有足够的人力物力，我们现在不知道，为什么还有380多个案子还在审理所以这个部分的话是有意图要想办法对这过去4年已经批准的庇护，并不是全部的批准，而是针对384个已经拿到美国公民规划的案件要从头开始审理，所以话要吊销他们的入籍身份。然后新部长这样子是一把火吧。其实这个部分因为他是海军这个海军部的部长，就是海军司令的总司令他跟移民是没有相关系的，所以没有什么一把火左右。只是说我想因为大家比较称赞他的话，就是他的爱国精神，以后其实也是我们亚太裔的代表，也可以看得出的话，在为什么他之所以能够得到川普的支持认可，就是因为这个鼓声以后敲醒了美国民众。同样的也呈现出来不管我们虽然肤色是亚太裔，但是我们也是美国社会的一员，所以这个部分的话他里边也讲到我要报效美国，因为美国收容了我这样子。 OK， 那当然这部分我们再看看 ICE 这部分这部分对可能 Cassie 的话是住在 San Jose 这部分，他说这个左派市长已经关闭了 San Jose 的 ICE， 这是最大的非移民报告的中心。恭喜远程到旧金山 ICE 的报道这个不去report 是最好的100%驱返的资格的。然后 Cassie 再度补充的话，马汉市长吹牛他升任之后San Jose 的人口流失了13万人口从美国第10大的城市降为第13位了已经不是在一个100万人口的城市，继续吹牛让更多人搬离这个 San Jose。 他里边还提到所以这个马汉这市长在吹牛的时候Hilton 就马上说廉价房屋现在平均在加州的话购买房价的话是90万你马汉的话是全世界房价最贵的地方，你有什么本事来说是这个改造房子呢？那当然在里边因为这个只有1分钟的发言其实Chapianco跟 Hilton里边的我参加了他2场的辩论会，就是共和党党内的辩论会2个是有不同样的风格，在里边的话可以体现了一点但是没有办法能够完全理解到他们2个的一些巨大的区别在里边他提到这个移民执法这部分 ICE 这部分你可以看得出 Chapianco 是从立法这个角度来的，然后当然 Hilton 的话是绝对支持川普的移民政策，他本身就是合法移民，他支持合法移民的权益，但是反对非法移民，这个从商业执照这个回答可以看得出来。另外一个呢，对他们对加州的几个房价汽油成本还有房屋建造移民问题的话，你可以看得出Chapianco 是一个警察出身，所以他就是一个牛仔型的单枪匹马来挑战但是这个 Hilton 的话他是研究过这个加州问题在这个 Fox News 主持的时候 他的这个下一次的变革的 Next Revolution 这个节目里边，他是这个对加州的问题做了深度的研究，并且在也这个，所以当年的话，这个Porter 想办法来贬低他。他说，如果你 Hilton 在我的课堂上课的话，你要了解到游民问题是什么问题，是不是这个是因为交不出房租被赶走，被银行赶走。当然的话，这部分他在故意贬低这个觉得你是我的学生一样，我是法学院的教授但是其实 Hilton 在 Stanford 里边也是教授，并且 Hilton 专门研究出了一本书叫 California 的话，里边的话有12个问题，一个问题怎么样有数据、有研究、有解决方案，面面俱到。而你可以看得出，最重要一点的话，因为这2位共和党人士，他说我们要改变，所有的物价上涨、犯罪率高以后，房价这个涨得太高，保险费太高，都是你们民主党搞出来的。所以一定要换人做。当然的话，怎么做以后这个问题也是尖锐。如果你做了州长了之后，你怎么能够说服州议会跟你配合？所以这一点里边的话这个在以前的2位共和党的辩论里边的话 Chapienko 的答应的话就是说，我是体制内的，我知道怎么样子来跟其他的人打交道。然后这个 Hilton 的话，他说我联合了副州长这个 Romero， 我支持并且跟加州检察长这个Michael Gates 结了联盟，跟主计长结了联盟。只要我们将加州的这些贪腐问题以后就解决了，我们就可以省下这个1/4的这个资金，用这个停掉了非法移民的健保，我们就不用加税，我们就可以用这些钱来修建公路所以这些的话，你可以看得出Chapienko 他说我们解决问题，我有第1个方案、第2个方案、第3个方案，都是头头是道。所以这个Chapienko 局长的话，他这个讲不过他，他只是说你这是在口头上做而已，我是行动派，你是这个打嘴炮而已了，都用这种做法。当然具体的部分，因为这个 Chapienko 他毕竟是一个小地方的警察局局长，而这个 Michael Gates 这不是这个 Steve Hilton 他是撒切尔夫人的助手。这个英国首相的这个谋士，也是在这边的话，这个 Fox News 里边的主持人，所以他也有这个世界观，他知道他里边说，我们现在这个他们这些人都是体制内的，以后包括 Chapienko 在内，都是体制内的，所以我不是政客，我是要来这个怎么样改变的，并且我有一帮盟友一起来改变。所以从这点看起来的话，如果是因为在这个1个半小时以后没有办法完全体现出这2位共和党候选人的这些具体的意见，我看看评论区里边的话。对，这民主党候选人只要公开骂川普就可以拉票了，所以为什么他们这个4位共和党民主党人士都是在指责你们2个的话，要么就是得到川普的支持，要么就是推动川普的政策的，就讲了 Chapienko 的这个部分对，他们就要想办法争取那60%的人的支持。在 Cassie 说马汉做市长的时候，流浪汉已经超过了1万人。我们整个加州现在目前官方的统计是18万9千人具体这个真正的数字可能会比这个更高。Cassie 再举例说，2025年流浪汉人口是9000多人，今天终于冲破了1万人关，市长真厉害。这部分这个 law enforcement 出来参选很吃亏这部分我觉得他因为很多民众还是 在这过去这几年这个犯罪这个不需要付出任何代价，以后警察这个所以话警察得不到尊重。不过这个部分里边，在共和党里边的话，也觉得这个 Chuck Bianca 还不够这个保守，因为他在 BLM 运动的时候，他还向这个黑人示威人士下跪这个部分这部分里边的话，当然这个你可以看得出里边所有的这些政客，不管是这个Tom Steyer 啦，还有这些民主党的，他们都是想办法，一方面在保险方面的话我们要改革，我们要降低，但是又要怎么样，两边都想讨好，但是里边呢讲来讲去，他们是没有办法解决的，没有这个魄力来改革，因为他们都是体制内的，以后都是这个为了自己能够当选。这部分的话这个冯云晓说合法移民钱交了要等10年15年走过来的，很快面谈，什么逻辑？这也是所以为什么这个很多人这个你非法进来插队了，反而你在我们前面，这个部分对很多合法移民也是这个不公平的，也是就是因为你可以大的趋势看起来的话，国会在目前这种情势两党都没有足够的票数推动任何的移民改革所以在书本上里边的话，在法律上面的话，还是会维持现状，不会说马上全部取消庇护，马上，因为毕竟现在有2000到3000万的非法移民这也是没有身份的，所以他现在移民局的重点。原来在911之后，移民局分成3个部分，以前的 INS 以后变成了CBP 边境的 ，ICE 负责驱逐的，以后 CIS 是负责绿卡跟公民申请这部分。川普上台了之后，他们现在重新改革，以前的话都是CBP 跟ICE 是负责执法驱逐的，然后 CIS 这是移民公民服务局的话，它是属于服务的，但是你可以看得出现在在移民局里边的话，这3个部门都是属于执法机构，连 CIS 你去绿卡面谈，你去公民面谈里边的话也有 ICE 的工作人员在里边，一发现你这个以前已被驱逐的，你还有胆量出来来面谈，马上抓人，所以这种情形的话，你可以看得出也是转变。当然也是因为 CIS 很多工作人员协助ICE 的行动，所以一方面这个处理起来时间拖长，也有一些是内部制定的政策，就像的话申请这个你是合法的，但是的话人手不够，以后可能拖延很长时间，所以的话真的不过现在这个预算案有可能这个会通过 ICE CIS 这个移民执法局国土安全局的费用的话经费应该是可以顺利的通过这种情形，希望呢有了经费之后ICE 也好，还有是各个联邦政府的部门可以正常的营业这样子合法移民的申请可以能够这个尽快的推动了。好的，谢谢大家收看今天的邓鸿说法节目，让我们继续关心身边所发生的重大法律跟政治新闻，我们下集再会。